start.
Yeah, so my question is, when did anime go global? Is it the Miyazaki movies? Is it Doraemon? Or is it Astro Boy? I mean, a lot of names
Uh,
came up. So,
can
yes.
I?
Amin,
Yes,
sorry.
yeah.
So what was the
I,
question?
I,
I
I,
couldn't.
yeah, I asked, when did anime go global?
Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, and yeah, go ahead. Who's the
Um,
first one? Ronnie, you can start again.
okay, and
If,
so I
if no
think
one wants to volunteer.
globalization of anime, what I think has been very gradual. Like, uh, I think in India, all of us has watched anime like Doraemon, Shinchan, Ninja Theory, Pokemon, Digimon, Beyblade, all this since ever since we're growing up. And yeah,
Right.
but and also we have watched Dragon Ball Z, which was like a huge hit worldwide, and and we have also watched Astro Boy, Sailor Moon, stuff like this, and these were really popular in India, also in the West. But I don't. But anime didn't become that popular back then. I guess mostly because like the world wasn't connected. Like it, I mean, most people weren't using the internet. They just could see what they were being shown on their televisions, and they didn't know what this exactly is. Some people like me, I just knew that okay, there's something different about these shows. It's just not the same, but I cannot point out what's different. But I feel like something's different, and now because we have internet and everything, the world's connected and all, so it has gone global very easily. But back then, even there were some anime which weren't shown in the West that much, but the West copied plots and stuff like that. For example, we have an anime Kimba the White Lion, and Lion King, the hit movie Lion King Disney movie, was copied from that anime. And that's
Mhm.
probably one reason why anime wasn't that global back then, because the West was still copying some of the anime. But now, like in the early 2000s, in the 2000s decade, uh, most of us, I mean the generation now, the older Gen Z and the younger millennials, we all grew up during this period, and we all grew up watching anime. So I mean, and why when we are now that we're grown up, we have connection to the internet, and we can research more on the shows that we love and come to know about it, and we are actually encouraging more and more people to watch it as well. And we are making posts, we are active on social media, and from this stuff, many other people who are not that well versed in anime can also see them and get like notified about okay, so this is cool. And in the 2010s decade, the isekai genre just blew up during this decade, and I think many people actually liked it. Many, by the end of the decade, it was like oversaturated, but many people liked it, I guess. And they started looking for other anime, and even many popular like social media influencers got into anime, and even many of them are from our generation, so they have been watching anime ever since they were kids, and they started influencing their followers with the anime as well. And that's how I mean, this is from my perspective, that's how anime got
Right.
globalized gradually.
Okay. Rihanna, what do you think? Your microphone is muted.
I think the globalization of anime started with Astro Boy because I think it wasn't the first to be licensed in America, but it was one of the first to get popular in America. And as for India specifically, like Ninja Senshi Tobikage was the first one to actually air in India, and I don't think anyone in India actually knows that anime. So I think with India, it started with Dragon Ball Z airing on Toonami, but internationally it started with Astro Boy because of America. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
hello.
please. Yeah, hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also think it all started from Astro Boy, the work of Osamu Tezuka, since it was similar to that of Disney. It got popularized in the Western culture, like as soon as it was out in the West. So that was the start of anime. In my opinion, like actually it popularized in the late 90s, where there was shows like Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho, Sailor Moon, and these shows were enough to get the kids of that generation to be into anime. And that point of time, there was no internet, like at least like how it is now, and internet anime piracy was not that prevalent like it is now. So you have to get DVDs to actually watch the, not DVD to, it was like a VHS right back then. So it's hard for people to get anime in the West, and for here in India, people did not even know what anime was in the late 90s. So I think in India it started from Cardcaptor Sakura that aired on Cartoon Network. That actually started the anime tropes. Also, Jungle Boy aired, but Jungle Boy nobody actually knew it was anime. So
Jungle
then
Book.
came Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, Jungle Book. Sorry. Yeah.
Wait,
So
didn't Dragon Ball Z air before Cardcaptor Sakura?
no, if I remember correctly, Cardcaptor Sakura aired before Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, I'm not sure though. It was back in 2003, I guess.
Right.
I'm
Yes.
not certain though.
Uh,
I think
So,
Astro
so
Boy
what is
and I think Astro Boy and Jungle Book were there during the 80s because even my parents watched that on their
No,
home.
oh,
Cyborg Kuro-chan was there. Cyborg Kuro-chan also there. That was one of the first few animes that I've watched. Cyborg Kuro-chan, and that's what I remember.
right.
okay.
So I want to ask you guys something. Is are you're all familiar with Miyazaki movies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So does that help in the popularity in for anime?
Can
Is
I say something?
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, sure.
sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah, yes, I was about to tell this that Hayao Miyazaki was also a huge part of making anime, this
Right.
entire anime thing popular in the West. Because from what I know, My Neighbor Totoro,
Yeah.
yeah, so it was
Mhm.
during the 1980s, right? So I think, yeah, he played a massive role in popularizing this entire anime culture in the West. That's all I wanted to say.
Uh, can I ask something, Akash, to you? Is there anything very special about Miyazaki movies that make them so popular in the Western culture?
Um,
What do you
I
think?
don't.
It's like it's not
I
that there
mean,
is a correct answer or wrong answer.
yeah.
Just what do
I
you think?
mean, his work itself is very unique. Like from hand-drawn, like like how cartoons started, right? They used to draw
Mm-hmm.
all those figures in a paper, and they used to make those work, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
feel like Studio Ghibli itself is hugely influenced the Western anime section that we have right now. It's all started because of all this. I mean, all the works Hayao Miyazaki went through, and also I'm not, uh, yeah, I'm not. I've never seen Astro Boy, right? So I don't know
Okay.
how much that influenced, but yes, I agree on the fact that it has influenced a lot. But then from my point of view, I feel like, yeah, the work of Miyazaki is really important for
Right.
popularizing the anime in
I
the West.
I want to share something. When I was a kid, which was long ago, and I used to watch this cartoon called Heidi on Cartoon Network. Are you guys familiar with Heidi? Right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I just found out recently that the artwork and everything was done by Miyazaki and his team. And Heidi was like, how long ago was it? The 60s, 50s? Any idea?
I have to check. It's
Probably
I
the
think it was
60s or 70s.
yeah, 60s and 70s, right? So was that a Japanese production, Heidi? I had no idea because the
Yeah,
animation
it
was
was.
Heidi,
It was.
Heidi Girl of the Alps. It was Japanese.
yeah,
Yeah, it has
it was
Japanese.
okay. Okay,
Okay,
so
I just
Tomogno, do
checked.
you have
It was
yeah,
1974.
Mm-hmm.
Tomogno. Hello.
Bolo.
Yeah. So yeah, Miyazaki influence on
Uh,
anime. Would you have to?
the
Is it a
thing which
very
comes to my mind is Spirited Away. That was like the was the earlier animes, one of the earlier animes which I have like watched. So it's like very, I mean, it's filled with fantasy, and it's like there was a character named Haku who was a dragon, and then he changed into back to his original form. It's amazing, amazing, and I mean all I mean the characters, each and every one of them is like really good. I mean, is it House Castle? Is it like Miyazaki as well?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. House
Yeah.
Castle.
House moving
I was
castle.
moving. So,
Right,
House movie.
right.
Right. Right.
okay.
May I say
Spirited Away
something?
won the Oscar, right? In
Uh,
2001, if
uh,
I'm not wrong.
yeah. Actually, it won Oscar.
Yeah.
Miyazaki did not go to take it, so later he took the Oscar in 2003, I think.
Oh, is
Okay.
it like something Miyazaki has against the Oscars?
No. He was actually protesting against that war against Israel, so that was the case.
Hey, interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But actually, Miyazaki, can I say?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, go
sure.
ahead.
Yeah, if yeah, influence of Miyazaki, can we discuss? Then can say only one thing, that the way he actually visualizes each and every character, and the way they are doing
Shanku
the
Shubra, a little louder.
hello.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
This is better.
Yeah, actually the way Miyazaki visualizes each and every character, and those things are, I mean, really awesome. That guy is really legendary type of things. I mean, each and every by second by the characters works are there. So I mean, I have seen the works like of Makoto Shinkai and other directors also, but they were never found that magical thing like Miyazaki. So I mean, can't explain more than that. Those characters are, I mean, he works really on that.
So, Shankar Shubro, so I have this question. Since you mentioned that Miyazaki has this kind of a special magic side, so what do you think? Is it like he mainly focuses on the children aspect of like magical mystery kind of thing, or as well as it focuses a lot to, towards adult audiences also?
Oh, but
And if so,
he,
then why?
I mean, he know. Look, it is my personal aspect, but I do think that Miyazaki takes a lot influence from the Disney. Uh, I don't know if it is correct or not, but sometimes I thought this might be the case. But what the case actually is, just think about that. You are walking from your door to a shop. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
if you try to animate this thing, so at each and every moment, what you are how your things hands are moving, your heads are moving. Okay, you are talking to us somebody, then at each and every moment your expression, I mean, not every director will show this kind of expressions at each and every second. So that is the case Miyazaki shows. I mean, you really need to work on these things if you have to animate like him. There is not like by him. Miyazaki does not like Makoto Shinkai use a high level 2D anime. I mean, the animation quality is really great if you see Makoto Shinkai
Mm-hmm.
movie, but when it comes to Miyazaki, he does not actually use that kind of hi-fi level animation quality. But what he shows actually, that is like a kind of magic. I
Okay.
mean,
But
So he's more detailed. Yes,
He said something
Snehashi.
very interesting that
hmm,
Miyazaki is influenced by Disney. Do we agree with that? I mean, I'm opening up
I would
to
agree with that.
right. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Why? Uh, what's so unique about Disney that which actually attracts like everyone? Miyazaki movies attracts everyone, like any audience, any and every audience. So
And I
as he
think,
has said,
Yeah, sure, on in the
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, so um, no matter what you watch, we always, I mean, as we rewatch, we find new things, right? But about Miyazaki movies, it's like when we watch Spirited Away or House Moving Castle when we were kids, we find it magical, okay, but when we grow older and rewatch all those things again, then we find more adultish side to them, and he
Mm-hmm.
shows them with very much subtlety. It's about that subtlety which makes Miyazaki so much special. That's what I feel.
Okay. So, just a comparison, we can say like Miyazaki's animations are more like how Charles Dickens wrote his books and novels, like very detailed, very minute. Like it can be read by children as well as adult, like in two different perspective. Absolutely.
Yes, I feel so.
Do
Agreed.
you get my question?
What?
Yes.
Can you repeat it again? I didn't get that.
Yeah, I'm just saying that like for a comparison, can it be Miyazaki movies can be compared with Charles Dickens ability to write. Like he was one of those writers who used to write very detailed.
Yeah,
Like the books can be read by children to as well as
but
adult,
it has
but
a
the
yeah.
meanings will
Yeah,
be
in English
absolutely
Charles
different.
Dickens, and in Bengali I
If
think
you
Bankim Chandra.
Okay, good.
like if you see at Charles Dickens' works and whereas Miyazaki's works, like
Mm-hmm.
Miyazaki has that Miyazaki has like both of them had that realism like which we like audiences of both the generations can enjoy, right? Like the small people and like before we were talking about Miyazaki and Disney, like Miyazaki has like
Mm-hmm.
Miyazaki uses more realism than Disney does. Disney is totally into a fairy tale, whereas Miyazaki uses the fairy tale concepts, like the magical concepts, a bit of magical concepts into the real world that can make a difference. Like, and when if Charles Dickens and Miyazaki's works, like if you compare them together, we both see they both carry a deep meaning that you cannot like get under the first hand. Like when the children read it, they think it like, oh wow, this is such a cool story. But when maybe
No, no,
children,
no, no,
maybe
no. No, no. Realism as a term is different, but I get your point. Uh, what I think that Miyazaki is like everybody likes Miyazaki because of how the Western culture can actually connect to Miyazaki along with the Japanese culture as well. It's a mix of both cultures. You can see in
yeah,
Miyazaki
exactly.
movies like the movie Kuranai Buta. What's the name? What is in it's in English? It was Porco Rosso, yeah, that's the name. That movie I watched recently. It has a lot of Japanese elements along with uh, uh, Western elements. But the Western elements you can guess directly. Like if you watch it, Western elements are like in front of you. But the subtle Japanese elements, if you know Japanese a bit and if you know about Japanese culture, then you will get it. So when the Japanese people watch that anime, they love it because they see their culture there. When the Western people watch that anime by Miyazaki, they also find something they can connect to. Other anime, they have most things that is related to Japan, school uniforms related to Japan, how like this people like how they converse, how they talk, everything in Japan shows on their anime. But in Miyazaki's anime and movies, it shows
Mm-hmm.
differently. The Western people can connect. If you have watched anime that is Future Boy Conan that was aired in Animax, it was also written by Miyazaki if I remember correctly. I'm not sure if it's okay. So if you have watched that anime, it had a lot of Western influence. Okay, it's in a post-apocalyptic world,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how the Western audience connects. If it's situated in Japan, a post-apocalyptic Japan only, then people would from the other countries would not be able to connect to it as much as Westerners do right now to Miyazaki because of the Western influence that he includes in his anime.
Okay.
So Sneha,
Uh,
she said something very interesting. He said that Miyazaki's work is mix of both Western and Eastern culture. So my question to everyone is, Sujata, you too, is that
Yes.
yeah, is was it made? What some of Miyazaki's work was made in such a way so that it panders more, I mean, so that it reaches out to more Western audience?
Can I redirect this question to Swarna? I think she hasn't said anything
Is
throughout
she
the.
there? Yeah.
She
Shauna,
is
are you
here.
there?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you repeat the question once again?
Yeah, can we see you? Can you switch on the video?
No, it's very dark here in this room, so you can't see me.
Everyone loves a dark side.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my question is, did you hear what Sneha she said?
No.
Wow.
Uh,
Not the right person.
okay, not the right
Okay.
person.
Adriana. Adriana, are you there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you? Yeah. Yeah. So did you? Do you have to repeat the question, please?
No, no, I got it about the Western influence on Miyazaki's work. And
No. What
interestingly,
was the? Yeah. Was some of Miyazaki's animation films were made in such a way that it panders to more Western audience to attract more Western audience? Like what he said, it's a mix of
Targeted to
things
Western
like that.
audience.
Yeah. Was it made to target Western audience?
I did not say targeted to Western audience. I
No, no,
said that
I know, no, no, no. I know you didn't say that. You used a very interesting phrase that it's a mix of, I mean, Eastern Western culture. I mean, that is what we can see. What my question is, was it made in that way so that it reaches out to more Western audience, so that more
I do
American people
personally
understand?
think
Yeah,
that
sure.
it was meant to target Western audiences and not in the art style. Like I had a university class where the entire class we actually discussed this Western and Eastern thing about Hayao Miyazaki's work, and the conclusion we came to is that the story structure he uses is very common in the West. And that's where somebody mentioned something about him being influenced by Disney, and I think that's really relevant because I think he borrowed a little, not art style but story structure from Disney so as to appeal to the West. Because Studio Ghibli, the
But I have a very interesting observation. Something what Riju said that if you see Disney, Disney is made out of. I mean, the Disney movies are basically fairy tales. So my question is Miyazaki, who writes the Miyazaki stories? Is it some children's literature?
Miyazaki stories. That's a good question. I don't know. If you get the question.
we talking about Ghibli movies or Miyazaki ones only? So if it's Miyazaki ones, then Miyazaki writes most of the screenplay, right?
Stories himself.
Alright.
Ghibli has more other people than
Like,
Miyazaki. So
Yeah,
like
yeah,
if
there was
come to
Isao
Yeah,
the
no,
Takahata.
but
Takahata, then it will be like hell, not for children.
yeah.
right.
Talking like when we see it Miyazaki movie, like I've already said it, and I think I might be repeating again. Like we you said like this, like he copied some elements from Disney, and like Shinju Tidi said like it's totally not Disney, like it's a bit from fairy tale, right? Disney is all about the fairy tale. We don't see
Yeah,
like it's
that is what I was
like
saying. That
except
Disney is all about
it's
families.
yeah
Yeah.
the new Pixar movies
Used
like
to be.
yeah, the like pure like old movies from Disney are more or less like fairy tale. They are like totally into fairy tale. Like Rapunzel, Disney didn't write to Rapunzel, right? Disney didn't write
Okay, like let me
other.
add one thing. Disney movies have this moral ending. They has to have this kind of moral theme into the movie. That has to be there. That's what Miyazaki does as well. There is some moral theme that connects
Yeah,
with the West.
like say showing some moral thing or having a message in a movie doesn't mean like it's totally like uh inspired from Disney. Like you people add morals to the story. Like in every short stories that you read, in every short movies that you watch over internet, like everything has a moral behind. They have a message. Like it's up to you whether you can decode that or not. But like everyone's going to make a movie on a message on an abstract. They cannot make something like a total different thing and you can get it like everybody can think in a different way, right? There's like a very few movies are like that abstract, like where you can imagine what's happening, you can imagine the theme, you can imagine the plot. But Hayao Miyazaki or Disney, they all have the moral behind. Like every other Ghibli movies we see, they have the model inside the story. Every other anime, see, they try to send some message like beating others cause you do not care about the world, like Goku. But it's not all anime are about that, right? So what I want to see, like, if you like place Disney and Hayao Miyazaki side by side, the only common thing you can find is a bit is the use of the fairy tale elements. Like, whereas Disney totally goes into that fairy tale world, and Hayao Miyazaki brings that fairy tale world to a normal or a modern world. Brings that fairy tale element, like a person can fly over the world. A person has a neighbor like Totoro, like who's a bird. I don't know, like it kind of looks like a bird. I'm sorry, I might be wrong with my interpretation right here, but I hope you guys are getting what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
That like now how fairy tales in general, like Disney took their ideas from the European fairy tales that are like hundreds of years old in some cases. So that's why the fairy tale in Disney cannot be actually connected to a modern world. If they are connected to a modern world, then they have to challenge the whole premise. That's what they are doing right now, to subverting the whole genre of the classics. But back then, back in the 70s and the 60s, when Disney got popularized, they had that original things like those fairy tales to actually adapt. Miyazaki changes this because by the time Miyazaki is making movies, that time that genre is already used, and if you will release movies on that genre, the fairy tale genre, people would not love it as much. And then again, Miyazaki does make a lot of fairy tales that is completely like different from the modern world or the world as we know it.
Can I just say something there that
yeah.
Miyazaki also adds Shintoism into his work, just as Disney adds Western folklore into their work. So
Yes,
that parallel remains.
Okay. Uh,
yeah, Shintoism, yeah, it's the Japanese
Yeah,
religion. So
Yeah.
can you elaborate a little bit about that, Adriana? Shintoism in
Yeah, so as my understanding is that Shintoism, the themes of Shintoism kind of reflect in most anime as and very heavily in Miyazaki's work because like post World War II, the Japanese kind of stopped formally practicing their religion. So that shows up, but they practice it personally. So that shows up very heavily in their art. And you see a lot of those themes there in Hayao Miyazaki's work which are not like they're not direct. You don't see direct Shinto gods, but you see Shinto ideologies about sustainable nature and just stuff like that in themes like. I mean, it's a
One question: do they actually show Shintoism or Buddhism? Actually,
they do practice
Like in most
Buddhism.
anime, they show Shintoism cause like the form kami or the shrines is totally come from the Shinto period when they used to like
In
devote to the Shinto religion.
okay,
It's totally,
so in Japan,
yeah.
yeah,
Shintoism has fused with Buddhism to form a different kind of Buddhism, Japanese Buddhism. It is like Buddhism and Shintoism fused into one another, I would
but
say.
still you can differentiate between Shintoism and Buddhism. It has fused in a way a lot, like yeah, like every religion there is Christianity fused into the previous religion to form the current Christianity, right? It is right now. But what I'm saying, Shintoism is like they think the nature is the god. Okay, like the
It's
original
about
Shinto
like
gods, like yeah, the original gods, they're like
then that is
Amaterasu and
Totoro.
Susanoo.
Kamatarazu,
They don't
Susanoo.
like yeah, that those gods are mostly forgotten right now, but the small shrine gods that are present all over Japan, if you go to Japan, all there are shrines all over the place that can be Shinto. Okay, and if it's a temple, a Terra, then it's Buddhism, that's different. But you'll see a lot of shrines everywhere, and shrines are always connected to nature. If there's a problem of flood, famine, they create a shrine every time. That's how Miyazaki includes. So like the
Like they,
shrines are directly connected to nature. Shinto
yeah,
is directly
like
connected to nature.
more like they're worshipping a particular god. They're worshipping to like something that can stop the famine they're going through, like some disasters they're going through. Instead of like they're asking for protection from some sort of what do you call entity which they don't know. They're mostly like thunder gods and like that. What CS has already said. So
Uh,
yeah, it's like
one thing actually,
pantheism. I think that's the technical term.
I don't know much about the term.
hello,
So
may I add
It's
one
like
thing,
between a
actually?
deism and pantheism. So
Yeah, actually, within those gods, you were telling in those shrines. but in the those gods they actually draw within those shrines, those are actually related to Buddhism. Uh, you can see
No,
the
no,
Well,
no, no,
not
no.
all of them.
gods are drawn normally.
Like not all of them. Like there are some
Shrine
gods that
gods
they
are
do
not
that.
related to Buddhism.
Yeah,
Not
like
always, at least. Not always,
yeah,
at
not
least.
always. There are some gods that they got inspired from Indian literature as well. Like at that time, Indian literature and all other like neighboring countries, they used to share the stories
Yeah.
or what they had.
Not exactly shared like from India. I mean, like
Yeah,
Buddhism
like
originated
they
in
have the
India. Like
concept of like you can see in China we have Wukong and we have Hanuman in our country.
yeah,
It's more like the
uh,
concept that used to
yeah,
exist.
yeah. Sun Wukong.
And
Yeah.
so
So
we even I think we have Ganesh and Kali also worshipped in Japan, and they are like named some other god in Japan.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like Saraswati is
Yeah,
Benzai
Saraswati
ten
was.
over there.
Then
So
yeah,
yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
Okay, you know what we are
that's
doing?
literally the connection between every old pagan
yeah,
religion.
the
We
Yeah.
have
most
been
famous the
we have been the god of lightning.
we have the sun, we
Norway
have
has
Indra. Yeah,
Thor. Greece has Zeus. That's
there's
like these
every
are
God
pagan
of
religion.
lightning and yeah, the God of lightning and King of all gods is always there. Like in the like Norse mythology, there is Thor, then there is Indra in our
Odin
mythology.
like mythology. Yeah.
Okay, we have completely
Fire,
digressed
water, wind, earth.
from the
Yes,
topic
yes.
from the
Yeah,
topic that we were discussing, and
Yeah.
I definitely do not want religion to be one of them.
Yes,
But
it's a
yeah,
very controversial topic.
but
Let's
yeah,
not go for that
Religion
side.
But
actually jhagda
unlike
din
the other
karte.
religion, Shinto is not that controversial.
Yes.
हाँ जगह ठीक
Anyway, I want to ask something. You said quite a number of you have said that Miyazaki's animation style has been like so somewhat influenced by some Western Disney. I mean, mainly Disney styling. But I can understand that, but why is Miyazaki styling so famous in India itself? Because India has its own style of animation. Why is it so like so popular?
Miyazaki style is popular in India. I mean, what do you mean?
What do I mean? Like if you like those who watch animated movies, uh, they like in one word they will identify Miyazaki. Okay, like but we have our own style of animation, our own style of understanding drama or any folklore. Why, what is so special about Miyazaki? It's even if it's like focused towards Western culture, our Indian culture is not Western culture, right? We have a absolutely different type of culture, though we can say that it's to some extent Oriental culture. But why it is so famous? Why like why do we understand? Why do Indian audience understand Miyazaki movies so well?
but Sujata, I will answer that question. I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah,
how
yeah.
many
Go
of
ahead.
you agree with this. I think it's Americanization. America has,
Okay.
I mean, because
Mhm.
I have watched Miyazaki movies. First one I saw was dubbed, which
Mhm.
the characters had American accent,
Okay.
and then I saw subs. So and whatever America does, everybody wants to do it. Everybody wants to watch it. So I think it's that.
Exactly. Yeah.
How many of you agree with that?
Exactly.
It's
I,
America.
I think that I was also going to say that like whatever the Western countries like America likes, India likes, like it's the colonial hangover. Like
Yeah, you cannot disagree that the fact that India is a bit more uh, like inspired from the Western culture as well, right? The
No, no,
modern Indian culture.
culturally,
No,
no,
the modern Indian
culturally,
culture, like the
yeah,
way
I
we
think
talk, like with the way we
the way
act.
we talk, the music we listen to, the
Yeah, it's
movies
a
we
bit more
watch,
inspired.
right?
Yeah,
it's
like to be
pop
honest,
culture. Let's just
yeah.
say it's pop culture. It's popular. That's
yeah,
the
it's
thing.
popular
Yeah,
culture, right?
And
My wrong term
But
of use.
like, does India have an actual pop culture like back then? Right now, it might have a budding one, but before, did it have a pop culture in your opinion?
I,
I
the
don't think
only
so.
thing that comes to my mind is Bollywood, and Bollywood copies heavily from Hollywood.
Like it's completely copy, right? So not copy exactly, but the ideas they take it from the other nations, right?
Influenced, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
influenced.
It's
the
influence.
influence, yeah. So what I'm saying is the fact that whatever aired anime cartoon in India mostly, to be honest, were religious. Everything was like Krishna, Bhim, Balram, whoever not. So if the
Those
always
things
the
are really
topic is religion and ancient scriptures,
We are
I don't
we
think
are
people will be that
again
much interested.
touching controversial topics. Ashish,
It's not controversial. I'm
religion
not
animation
like
is
debating on
really a
religion.
joke.
I'm debating
yeah,
on what
but
kind of content they make.
I just want to put a word out there. But do you guys realize that why all of a sudden there's a huge like uprise of ages like Bhim, Hanuman, Ganesh, and whatnot?
Do
What are the
we
other
okay,
Okay,
do we
people
want
love
to touch
I
that
think
drama.
so.
topic?
People like Hindus.
but I don't want
India,
to
India,
talk about that
Do we
anyway.
want to touch that
yeah,
topic? That's my question. Like,
yeah.
if you want to
No,
touch controversial
that
topics, okay, just let me
It's
say.
not at all
If
that
we
that
totally
cannot go on your
controversial.
YouTube.
How
I
can it
think
be
YouTube can
controversial?
allow
no
Are
that.
we defaming
No,
religion or
like
anything?
no, we are
just
not
No, no,
defaming religion,
okay,
Ronida. Like,
I'm not saying that. Just hear me out.
yeah, I
If
no, no,
you
no.
want
Yeah,
to discuss controversial topics, come to my second channel where I can discuss all kinds of controversial topics. I love to
Yeah, yeah.
discuss them,
So let's do
but
that.
on my
Let's do
primary
that.
channel, it's kind of risky because YouTube policies might affect. I don't know.
uh,
Yes,
So
yes,
so
yes. Let's not go into
we
that.
are we are
Yes,
digressing. So I there's one thing
yes.
I want to talk about is manga. How many of you read manga?